So let's talk about Jobstack and see what you think about it. Let's see if we can get some people up on here. Okay, so I have some friends that have worked on People Ready Jobstack for quite some time. One friend for about 3 years, I'd say, and the other friend it says like 7 or 10 years. And anyway, it's kind of interesting. So if you were, looking for some side work, uh, you want to pick your mileage, how far away it is, what days you want to work, um, a job on the spot, that hour, um, different kinds of jobs. You can do it. The app is set up really excellent to do the setup part. The only problem is that um, the way they send the jobs to you, uh, sometimes you just don't get many, or you get the same stuff, or stuff that's like miles and miles away or outside of your qualifications. Yeah, you get to refuse them, um, but it's interesting. And it's not really 24 hours. The jobs kind of come up about 6 in the morning till about 7, I would say, at night. Because you could check that thing 24 hours a day. And then Sunday, I just don't see a lot going on there. So I did find out that the jobs are computer generated, sent to your phone, but the jobs are entered in by People Ready. And then prospective employers, contact them and make a deal through them. And I'm sure they get like a cut off of every person that's, brought in. Um, I think a lot of the time it's used for people that don't show up to work. And so, companies go, look, we got 3 call-ins today. Send us 1 or 2 or 3 people if you would please, and usually they'll come. The thing is that they have a low grade where if you're not, security cleared or whatever, um, it's just whoever. And I've kind of noticed that a lot of the people are pretty trashy. So you just kind of have to hold your breath and stay away from them when you're working because they're very problematic people. They cuss a lot. They're mad all the time, complain all the time, don't work, disappear. And it's sad because these companies are out to make money and, you have a job and, it's got to get done. And so it looks really messy, especially this company I worked for 2 times in the past like 7 days. What a total waste of money they throw out every day. It's ridiculous. Um, Shame, shame. But anyway, so I worked for the Avis Corporation out at Eglin in Florida. And the first day I was going in was for a driver. So I was moving a bunch of new cars all day long, I was supposed to be doing. But it didn't really happen that way. First of all, we'll go over kind of what went over in the last vlog. Um, I called the employment office thing and I said, okay, so where do I need to go? Da 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 da. And they said, oh, just drive out there and go to the rent a car park and just park there and go in the airport. And I'm like, huh? That's not how it goes. You go to the car wash section and you park over there. And there's no office to go into because none of them have people in them. They only have like one open, so you can use it for bathroom and a break room for I guess all the companies because there's like 8 companies running out there. And then um, the first day I went there, I stood around for about 20, 30 minutes, asked around, where's the boss? Where's the boss? Oh, he's this guy in the blue shirt, and he's in a silver car last time we saw him. He'll probably be back around. And you're standing there watching all these people busting butt in 99-degree weather. And there's probably 10 people to that particular company. And there's a bunch more rows of other companies that are working doing the same kind of thing. And there's hundreds of cars going through. And so it's an interesting process, but it's poor. Really, really poor. So I was talking to one guy. He's worked there 3 years for that 4 years for that company. Real nice. And I said, I'm just waiting to see when the boss comes. He said, well, good luck. He said, here, I'll just show you what you need to do. And I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden, he's showing me how to detail a car. Now I'm supposed to be a driver, but that's okay. So, I didn't want to waste time. He's like, you got to sign in right away, because, so you'll get paid and just whenever they show up. It's like, okay. So anyway, he goes through, 20 minute dissertation with me, physically showing me how to do the cars the way they want them done, and specifically says, don't do any windows. We're not doing windows right now. So I'm figuring, well, that's probably because of the heat, and windows don't clean real well, in the heat. They'll just look worse. Or maybe they do them in another section, at the car wash part, where they literally go through a car wash, or whoever does the finish work. I don't know. I didn't want to ask a lot of questions. I just want to pay attention to what the guy was telling me, and do it exactly like they said. And so, anyway, he's like, you use this towel, you use this chemical, which was like a Windex. They had like four different kinds of stuff. They had a blue bottle, a pink bottle, a couple clear bottles, one that smelled like vanilla, which I guess is supposed to get the smoke out. I don't know. I would be agitated if I rented a car with vanilla in it. I don't like all that fruity crap. And those cars, usually they sell them off at auction because I used to buy a lot of them, at about 30K miles. So, they don't keep them long. But anyway, so hey, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. So anyway, that day was interesting, and you watch a lot of people that disappear a lot, that take lunches repeatedly. You get one 30-minute paid lunch. You don't even have to clock out. They're very gracious in that way. If you smoke, you could smoke there. Take a quick smoke break. They don't care. They're very nice about it. Um, uh, and nobody's like out there giving you orders. And you just don't see a boss there. The first day I saw the boss guy, two times for 5 minutes. Strangest thing I've ever seen. And then, like three-quarters of the people there are like people ready, um, people. And they stand around and clown around and don't do crap. And it's really strange. And I'm busting butt. The 2 days I was out there, I didn't take any lunches at all. They supply all your water. They give you frozen bottles of water or plain water anytime you want, all the time you want. One disappointing fact was they didn't have a sink with water, fresh water, at the storeroom there. You have a little storeroom to go in to refill your bottles. I was refilling everybody's bottles constantly, um, picking up towels that had hit the ground because, once the sand gets on them, it's going to trash the car. So whatever stuff hit the ground, you know, I was praying nobody would use them on the car. So, I would grab them when I'd see them hit the ground. And, just try to be helpful, bring in frozen waters from the break room that's in another building about 200 foot away. Bring in one for me and two more and offer them to my coworkers. And just, keeping busy. And so, we had cars banging through there. I didn't drive but like 10% of the shift. It was like towards the end. But that's okay. It's a day's pay. And I worked till like 10 or 11 that night. And we were the last ones working because we had so many cars, just hundreds. I would say we did probably 500 cars, if not more. Amazing. But they're just slammed through there. They're not really, really clean, I'm going to tell you. I don't know how they rent them like that because I would be fried if they handed me a car that looked that bad. But again, I don't know what they do on the other end after it goes through the car wash thing and all that stuff. So, they might have another additional detailer on the other end. I don't know. They didn't show me everything. They have a real quick car wash that the driver rides through. It's super fast. And then um, whatever they do after that, and then it's taken back over to another lot where they actually rent the cars. Any personal items left in the car, or alcoholic beverages, or personal belongings, whatever, the cleaners get to keep, um, unless it's something important and valuable. Like the other day, I found somebody's remote for a garage door in the car, and those are really expensive to replace and everything. And so, I took that up to an office and left a note there on a desk of an office I never see anybody in. And Because I was concerned and what kind of car it was that it came out of. Because of course that'll be rented again. So anyway, so people leave 12 packs of water, real expensive water in there. They leave liquor in there. The cars are filthy. I don't know how these people aren't charged a cleaning fee. They're filthy, smell like weed, smell like cigarettes, smell like baby diapers. They're nasty. They come back with grass in them, and looks like they had their animals in them, and it's just nasty. But anyway, interesting job. So we really tore up some cars. I worked with a terrific crew in the end that were all regulars of the place, that were like payroll employees. So there was like, I think four of us left on the first day, and we just worked great together, and had a really nice time. No problems, nothing. And I was forewarned that the place is very problematic. They all want to kill each other. Nobody wants to work. People take off. Employees are bringing their own cars through there and filling them up with gas, and they're stealing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I was forewarned, and I just did my job, did my thing. But the first day wasn't too bad. It was a lot of work, nonstop. It definitely was a lot of work, because most of the time nobody else wants to work. They'll have 10 people up there, and there's only like three people really working. And there's no boss. There's no supervision. There just isn't. And it's really strange. A lot of payroll wasted, huge amounts of payroll wasted. And so anyway, second day was really bad news. They must have had 12 or 15 people there, most of them from the Jobstack people ready. And they, were all fighting with each other and disappearing and standing around and wandering around. And I detailed 15 cars by myself, all in a row, that never moved. It took an hour before those cars ever started moving. They have to be pulled up in a line, towards the vacuums, and they get vacuumed and their final, touch up cleaning, by usually two people up there before they go through the car wash. And there's nobody on that front end. The other line there was. And so, I mean, it was just ridiculous. And there was one young guy that was just an idiot, tall, thin guy. He was like at least 6 foot and all of maybe 75 pounds, with a big chain hanging from his pocket. Um, he had real cute blonde curly hair. But he was a jerk. And he kept hounding me all day. He probably came to me, I would say about 30 times, if not more. Just every time, he would come back to whatever car I was doing and be giving me orders, giving me orders. And it was like, I don't know. He went up with a clipboard, came up to me, and I was moving a car up towards the vacuum. Still nobody was there. And this guy had clipboard, and the guy with the clipboard does this. They take and they look at the mileage of the car and see how much gas is in it, and they write it down. They make some sticker and they stick it on the key fob. And then they go to the next car. And then apparently that is for gas filling. And so they're like the certified person to fill the gas. Now, nobody ever taught me any gas stuff or anything like that, and that was never told to me that was my job. And you had to have a code to run the fuel pump anyway. All I did was detailing the first light, and I'm open to other stuff. If they want to show me other stuff, I'm cool. But nobody had. So, anyway, he came up to me and he says, "Okay, now, uh, I don't know if that car needs gas, but I think that one does." And then I'm like, "I don't know." And he was like all mad. And I went to my next car and was working on it. And it was just constant all day talking shit. And so I asked a couple of people that had worked there for a while. I said, the guy came up to me and was telling me about the gas. He said, "Yeah, well, he's the guy with the clipboard and he's the one that does the gas. I don't know what he's telling you for." And I was like, "Well, that's what I just told him. I don't know." And because I don't, okay? I don't want to get sassy with him or anything. I just was like, I don't know. And so anyway, because you don't know who anybody is over there. He could have been a supervisor, but he was a jerk. And so he just kept picking on me all day. And then the other workers I was working with, because usually it's two per car. One's on passenger side, one's on driver's side, and you clean all the interior. I mean, everything, and except the windows. And they weren't doing windows either. So I guess they were told the same thing, no windows. So anyway, you know, different workers were sitting in cars with me and we're cleaning them. Bam, bam, bam. And uh, there's not a whole lot of conversation, but everybody's friendly, everybody's nice. And so uh, it was definitely interesting. Hey, how you doing? And so uh um here comes that kid again, and he's like yelling at me about windows. What's the deal with the windows? The stuff that's on the windows or something, and what are you doing to the windows? I said, I don't do windows. They told me we don't do windows. And he's like, well, that I don't know then what this stuff is, on these windows that you're putting on there or something. I said, again, they told me no windows. But if you have a problem with it, I mean, I don't know anything about all that. I mean, if you've got a problem with that, I would definitely go to management. I mean, because I'm not a manager. I'm just a worker. Today I'm a detailer. And he was like all pissed off, you know. And he still wasn't doing his job all day. I mean, I think he vacuumed like two cars. And it was already by then, I think it was about 3 o'clock by then. And I started early in the morning. So anyway, it was just ridiculous. The cars were not moving. And they kept bringing more cars over and they were not moving. Because nothing was getting done on the front end. So, hey Roxanne, how you doing? So anyway, this kid kept picking on me all day, and the other workers are going, "What's with him coming after you all the time?" I thought you were going to cuss him out. I said, "No, that's not appropriate." But about the 10th time, he come and jumped in the car on the passenger side and wasn't doing crap and was telling me, "Oh, you don't know how to detail cars with them." And I said, "Look, I'm just doing what uh, Renee says to do. That's my job." And he said, "Well, I don't know who the F Renee is," and da da da. And I said, "Well, she's just worked here a lot of years. I'm still cleaning, because I really don't want to talk to this idiot." And so then he's like, "Well, I don't know who the F that is, but you don't know what you're doing." Da 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 da. I said, "Okay." And I said, "In what form of supervision management are you, and how many years have you worked in?" And he stops for a second and he goes, "Well, I'm not." I said, "Oh." Continued working, got out of that car, went to the next car. But he was constantly going after me. And the other employees were complaining too. They're like, "Why does he keep doing that?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "He is not a boss. He is not a manager." And I said, "He is just bugging me all day." So then there's this girl that's also working there who's in the supply room all the time. And she has this big, colorful grocery bag, giant grocery bag thing. Okay? Like grandma. And I kind of saw some of the stuff that's in it when I went in there to go get refill. I was like, why is this big stupid bag sitting in the middle of the room? And it had like towels that looked just like the ones that we have, a pack of menthol cigarettes. The bag was about a half full, and it was kind of strange. And every time she would leave, which was a lot, she would take this big bag with her, and she would take like 15 minutes work and a 30-minute break. 15 minutes work, 30-minute break. Just keep taking off. And then the rest of the time she was in the storeroom, smelled like weed. I went back to go to the bathroom at one point and waited a few minutes. And, I didn't want to be back there too long. I don't know if I didn't spend time looking around if there's video cameras or what. It's military property. So, you want to be careful, whatever you do. And so finally, I kind of, knocked on the door and said, hey, is anybody in here? Because there was a pack of menthol cigarettes on the table in the break room. And she says, oh, I just got in here. So I'm sitting at the table waiting. And I was like, oh man, I would have never waited that long. It was like 15 minutes. I could get in trouble for that. But I didn't imagine it was going to take that long. I mean, all you do is pee and go. You know what I mean? And so anyway, and I'm not the only worker there. There's like a lot of workers out there. So anyway, she finally comes out and it smells like weed so bad. And I hate weed. I cannot stand it. And I said, man, it smells like weed around here. She goes, well, I don't know. And I said, man, it's highly illegal here. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, this is owned by the Air Force Base. This is their property. And she goes, oh, I didn't know. I said, yeah, and it's federal. You can't have drugs up here. Oh, she says, I didn't know, but I have a joint in my purse. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Why is she even telling me this? And why am I working with somebody who's brought drugs on a military base? Are you kidding me? So, and every time I would go in that storeroom, our supply room that's over there at the car wash, and she was in there, it reeked of weed. And it's like, man, I don't want that stuff on me. I don't want to smell it. I want nothing to do with it. And so, but girls she was like in total shock. I'm like, it's a federal charge. It's not just a simple matter. That's federal. If you get caught on this property with, drugs or guns or something, they don't call the regular police here. Okay. Um, and she was like, wow, I didn't know. But I do have a joint in my pocketbook. I mean, she said it like twice, and I was like, oh god. So anyway, somebody had said something later that they thought that girl and that one guy were boyfriend and girlfriend, and they thought it was very strange that they were working together on the same job. Um, but anyway, so you just kind of do your job and ignore that other crap. Um, that's what I did. I just kept working, but it was constant. That kid was so weird. So I had gone and I put. We have an outside little table that like they have some kind of logbook on there that they write stuff down and some other stuff. And I put the spray bottle and my towel on top of the bottle, and I had put my bottled water there. And then I turned around, and this mean kid has got my bottled water in his hand. Okay, and he had opened it, and he said, "Oh, is this yours?" Oh, and he closed it and put it back over by the spray bottle. So now I'm scared to drink it. Brand new bottle of water. I don't trust him. Um, Next thing you know, he's screaming at the front end of the line. He still didn't hardly ever work. The cars just sat in that one row. The other row kept banging away. And later he's screaming bloody murder in the front end. You can hear him. And he's cussing and carrying on. I'm like, man, I can't believe they let people do this. And it's like for 15, 20 minutes. And another guy that works there for a while, that's an actual employee of Avis, screams over at him and says, you don't know what you're talking about or something. And I went out to get a bottle of water after a little while, and the guy was still carrying on and said something. And the one black guy goes, you don't know what the hell you're talking about because she's the one that told on you. And it was the driver girl um, that was doing most of the driving that day. I think she was like the only driver that day. And I saw him go after her a couple times, asking her questions and stuff, going, "So what's the deal?" And she's like, "Well, the car wash seems to be starting to go out, so we're going to use the other one." And he's like, "And why is that?" And he was like following around asking all these questions, like he's somebody, right? Why is he not just doing his job? He's helping everybody else's stuff and reading paperwork and doing this and doing that. Just, I mean, and all up my butt all day, like 30 times or more. It was just really strange, and I was so tired of it. But they got no supervision. There was one guy when I came in, I wanted to come in a little earlier. And everybody's like, "Oh, just sign in." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And so I went up to one guy that was there, and I said, "Who's the boss today or whatever, or supervisor?" And he said, "Well, I'm kind of supervisor." And that's a really strange response. I'm kind of supervisor because you either are or you're not to me. You know what I mean? I don't like messing with people that aren't poop. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I took that risk and I said, "Hey, look, I'm here early. I'm on the property. Will it be okay if I go ahead and go to work? Or shall I just wait?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I talked to Renee." And so, I was out there, waiting for a few minutes and I waited in my car and it was like nothing. So nothing got done. I told him my name and everything. But anyway, so uh, it was pretty bad because other people were getting aggravated because that girl kept leaving. And so did the guy. And nothing was getting done. At one point, that guy was sitting in his car 100 foot from the car wash stuff. And they all saw it. And I'm like, and they're like complaining. And I'm like, well, where's supervision? This is the strangest job that I've ever worked. There's no supervision. Now, I got the lady's phone number, this lady, Renee. She's apparently worked there 40 years. But she's always up in the airport, okay? And, at the front desk. She's apparently never out there. And, uh, it's even like the first day I was up there, the supervisor was there 2 times for 5 minutes. Yeah, the other day, on my second day, the supervisor was there um, um, before my shift started, and then 5 minutes after that. I mean, just really strange. And then some black guy started like appearing sometimes. He was probably about 50 years old, dressed really nice for a car wash, and like name brand clothes, white tennis shoes, whole thing. And uh, and that was really strange too. Um, he uh, um, he came up to me at one point, and I heard that kid yelling at him, going, "She told me that was a management problem," you know, and he was screaming and yelling. So then uh, um, the black guy told me, he said, "You need to change rags and change them now." And I said, "Okay, sir." And so I went up to the supply room to go try to find a clean rag. They have just a big round thing full of rags that are not folded or anything, just thrown in there of all different colors. And mostly all the white furry ones, which they don't like you using those on the cars because they leave stuff behind like snow. Most all the cars are black interior. I think all of the ones I've ever done up there in 2 days, I think there was three that had beige interior. Everything else is black, 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 black. And so anyway, he's yelling at me, going, "You need to change this rag," da da da. Da. I said, "Well, I rinse it out all the time. Every time I go to the bathroom and when I come up here, I pour a bottle of water through it because they don't have a sink at the supply room." Um, but I mean, because the rag gets dirty real fast, really, really fast, and so you don't want to just keep rubbing sand and dirt into cars. So anyway, and then when I find an open bottle of water in a car, I just pour it over the rag outside the car, the whole bottle, and squeeze it out all the time. So anyway, I'm like, "Yes, sir." And so, uh, I'm looking through, to get a dark rag, and he said, "Just use this." And he hands me a white linen napkin, which there aren't any in that bin. All there are little white furry towels and then a bunch of microfiber towels. I don't know where he got that. And I said, well, won't that leave residue? Because the guy that trained me told me to only use the dark blue. Well, actually, not the guy that trained me, the guys on the front end in the middle of the shift the other day had told me, man, you got to get rid of the white rag. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it's leaving white stuff on the car when it dries. And I'm like, oh, what would I do? And they're like, get a dark blue rag, and that's the only thing you use on those interiors. And I'm like, okay. You have to search the whole basket to try to get the dark blue, microfiber. And so, that's what I used the next day. And this guy's blowing a head gasket telling me I need to change rags. And he hands me, a dinner napkin. And I said, that won't, leave it white because they gave me orders to only use the dark blue the other day. And he said, no, this is what you use. And he said, and this don't have the fur like the other one. And he's like yelling at me from all these people. And I'm like, okay, sir. And so I go to use it on this car, and God, it looks like snow. Like almost like you took a salt pepper shaker and you sprinkled salt all over the dashboard. It was a joke. And damn well I'm gonna get in trouble for that. Okay. I mean, there's you don't two-step things in life. You get it done right the first way, that's it. There's no reason why I should be doing all those cars turning them white so somebody else on the front end has cleaned that mess up. That's just wasteful payroll. Don't ever two-step stuff. But anyway, so I was like, oh, they're gonna kill me now because it looks so bad. And so I went back up there and I caught that guy when he wasn't too busy, and I said, "Excuse me, sir." I said, um, "This is turning the whole dashboard into snow. Would you like to see the car?" And well, it's not supposed to. You just use that damn rag. And I said, "Would you like to come look at it because the dashboard is like it's got snow on it." Um, and I said, and apparently that's why they told me, the other day to change to that dark blue rag because it leaves residue behind. And he said, well, then just do what you want to do. And I said, I mean, I don't mind if you want me to go ahead and continue to use this that you handed me, this dinner napkin. I'm fine with it. Whatever you'd like to do. Um, but he wouldn't even go look at the car. And he's like, just whatever you want to do then. And he was like yelling at me. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to get in trouble. There's so many cars. I'm sorry. I'm not a fool. I don't know if people are setting me up or what you're doing, but I'm not going to get in trouble over those cars going through with all that white crap on there, especially with stupid up at the front every once in a while, works 15 minutes and then takes off for an hour or two. So, because he was screaming at everybody and everything. And I mean, going out and telling some of these detailers that have been there for years, going, hey, do you see this? Now, this is how you do this. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was just, you know, wow. So, anyway, you just work, work, work. And so people started getting pissed because that black guy seemed to kind of be in charge at one point. And uh, you know, he said something about, um, windows or something, and I said, well, that bucktooth girl, she's the only one that's been doing windows on this whole shift that I've seen. They told me not to do any windows, when I worked, the first day. And but she's been messing with windows because she said she has a pet peeve about kid prints and all that stuff. So I said, you guys need to talk to her if you got window problems because I have nothing to do with that. And that's the only one that was doing it that day. So anyway, he said, well, she's on break. And we all just kind of looked like this had to be like her 8th break of the day. And it's like you're thinking, why does this guy keep letting this girl go on break? Because she already had a break. And I didn't take any breaks. I took no lunches the 2 days that I worked. None. I worked it straight through. I sat down for 2 minutes with a bottle of water. We had three cars that, we were waiting to see if they're going to bring more cars or what. And I had already detailed both lanes, which I was only supposed to work the other lane. I had detailed all three of those cars, and they were waiting right there to go through the vacuum. And they were about 5 foot apart. And as soon as I sat down, I've been there 2 minutes, and I was drinking a bottle of ice water. And a black guy comes up to me and goes, "Yeah, well, you can get up and move them cars right there." And I said, "Well, I'm just taking a quick break. I just sat here. I've only been here 2 minutes, and I don't take lunches ever." And he goes, "Huh," and gives me that look like, "So dare you," And I was like, you know. So it was really strange. Oh, I also had some guy that I didn't know in the morning that was asking me my name. Um, and and he said, "Well, it doesn't come up on the app that way. It's something different." I said, "Well, that's not my name." And he's like, "Well, that's the way it comes up on the app." I said, "Well, that's not my name, and my name comes up right on the app, so I don't know what you're talking about." Um, and he kept going on, and it was like I'm just sitting there like trying to figure out what this guy's problem is. Like who cares? That's my philosophy. Who cares? Why are you going round and round and round in circles? You know, talking the same crap like 8 times for what reason? That's what I'm thinking. Um, because most time all you do up there is go, I don't know. Don't argue with people because they just keep arguing. That's the biggest thing. And people are edgy since this pandemic. People have just turned into just mean, damn people on the road, in businesses, in public. It is really strange how mean people are now. It is. So I'm overly nice anywhere I go, and compliment people because I want them to feel good and have a nice, happy day. I want them to, say, "Wow, here comes Red in our store," or "Here comes Red to get gas." You know, um, I want them to feel just a moment of peace because I've walked in the door and I will say something very nice to brighten their day. Um, uh, because I mean it, I really mean it. Show the love to folks, man. This is a strange time in the world. It's very sad that it's turned so mean. But anyway, so the other day was just terrible. It just and then that girl and guy were sitting around the back of the building smoking cigarettes for like the last hour, and it left three of us to finish the cars instead of just helping us. We knock them out. Because sometimes they'll bring like hundreds of cars all of a sudden, and sometimes it'll slow for a minute. But yesterday was the dumbest day. We went for like an hour or two with no cars at all. Just a bunch of us just sitting around out there at the car wash, and there were no cars. And damn well they had cars. It was just really lame. But anyway, so messy. Um, uh, and anyway, I thank the guy, that black guy. It was kind of mean to me. Um, which I don't know what exactly his job was, but I thanked him, at the end of the shift, and told him have a blessed evening. And I went, to my vehicle, and we got off really early, so there was no more cars. They had no cars to bring us. So anyway, I went ahead and I leave my phone at the car. I don't need it. The first day it was beeping away. And I said, I don't even need this sucker because I'm going to lean into something and break it. So, and I used my side bag. I carried my side bag so I'd have my keys and all that. And it wasn't in my way for work at all. It was great. And so, and you wear your sunglasses. 99-degree weather both times. And so, anyway, when I got to the car, I thought, it's early. I bet that Renee lady's still here. And so I'll just give her a quick ring And I called, and she said she had already left. I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you." And see, I didn't know I had like her car phone number. I thought it was the number there at the desk. So she said, "Well, I told her who I was, and I said, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow." And so, "Hey, Paranormal Gaming Wayne, what are you doing?" And she said, "Well, no, I mean, what's the deal?" And I said, "Well, I just had a few things that I wanted to, bring up to you, some concerns. But, I can, meet you tomorrow." And I've never seen this lady ever. Okay. I just have her number because another employee gave it to me the first day. And so, anyway, now bear in mind, this is the lady that's worked 40 years for that company. Um, and she's real nice on the phone. I've talked to her, 3 or 4 times. Because I called her a couple times to see if I could work. And so anyway, she says, go ahead and, what's going on? I said, "Well, I'm really concerned." I said, "There's a girl, that I work with today. Um, and there was only 3 girls on shift. There was a girl that was actually contracted through Avis, and then the other girl seemed to be from Jobstack, just like me, because they would never hire anything like that, I promise you. But anyway, I hate to be mean. But anyways, but she says, "What's the girl's name?" And I'm like, I don't really know. I don't like hang out there to make friends. I just work. I don't spend a lot of time talking to anybody. Just do my job unless I have a question. I'll ask somebody that I believe has worked there for a while. Um, because there's so many people giving orders out there, and they're not management anyway. But anyway, I was like, I don't really know. I can just tell you what she looks like. She's wearing a baseball cap. She's got buck teeth, and she was wearing long pants. If you can believe this, they let you wear shorts out there. And this girl is wearing, long gym pants. Those, what do they call them? Yoga pants, or like pantyhose. And they're like black and gray. Why on earth? And she had made a comment about that at one point. I saw her when I went to go pee. She was in that break room as usual. And she said, "Oh, I had trouble getting my pants on earlier in the bathroom. That's why it took so long." And I said, "Oh, well, but probably because, the sweat. So they're going to like really stick to your skin." I said, "It's probably better. I usually, like to wear light stuff, in this Florida hot weather, and like shorts and baggy stuff, not clinging stuff. And it's not as hot." And she was like, "Well, oh, so she probably got mad because, she thought I was telling her how to dress. I don't know. Strange people. But anyway, so, this conversation with Renee, it was about 10, 15 minutes. She was very nice. And I said, "So my problem was that, I went to go to the bathroom and I couldn't get in the bathroom. And the girl knew I was waiting because I was already waiting before that. But, when I went back there, I went, hello. Um, I said I had to wait while she's smoking a joint in the bathroom because as soon as she opened the door and come around the corner, it's reeking all the way into the break room." And the girl actually told me 2 times that she had a joint in her freaking pocketbook. And I said, and I'm really concerned because one, I don't want to be around the drugs. I don't want to breathe it. If you want to party, that's your biz. You want to drink, you want to smoke, you want to shoot heroin, you want to snort coke, whatever party it is you like, whether you're working with me or a friend, don't do it around me. And rule number 1 has always been, and don't do it around my children. Okay. But anyway, um, so, I had mentioned her, and especially with it being a military base, that's federal. What if a sucker like that takes that crap and shoves it into your pocketbook when you're not looking? And I've seen that happen in strip clubs where girls threw dope in other girls' pocketbooks and then called the owner or the manager, and they go back to the dressing room and they find that crap and it's not even theirs just because they want to get them fired. I've seen stuff like that. I had somebody do it to me in a dressing room. The door flew open, and I was running costumes in the dressing room. Door flew open. It was the owner, and this girl threw her dope up in the air, and it lands in my pocketbook that was open on the counter. Scared the piss out of me. I was so mad. I was like, "Don't be throwing your caca over here. You take your stuff and keep it to yourself." Oh, I don't like that. Anyway, so I had told her, I said, I'm really concerned because this girl told me she had a joint in her pocketbook. You know, Eglin, military base owns this property, and it's federal, and I shouldn't have to, be trying to go to the bathroom and somebody's smoking dope back there. On the fact she's smoking it in the supply room all the time, and we're in and out of there all the time for water. They have a little tiny fridge in there, and they have all the chemicals in there, and that's where you get the towels and the chemicals, and you're constantly in and out of that room. I go through like 4 bottles of cleaner a day out there, and I refill my bottle and everybody else's bottle out on the main floor out there. I go and put a full bottle at somebody's station and go grab their bottle and take it back, fill it, and I do all that every time I go fill my bottle. And I do it at closing. I do it when I first come into work. Make sure everybody's bottles are full. Nobody asked me to do that. I just do it. And anyway, so, I told her, I said, the weed thing. And then she said she had drugs on, and I was really concerned about that. I just don't want to breathe it. That's not fair to me. I should not have to be subjected to that. I should not be forced to work and breathe weed. I'm allergic to it. It makes me really sick. I hate weed. I've smoked it one time in my life, didn't do a thing for me. But for those of you that really dig it, it's all on you. But it doesn't belong at work. And it's not California. California's retarded. They do it anywhere and everywhere. They did it around my kid in California, and I was pissed. Yeah, I mean, walking down the street next to you in restaurants, they just did everywhere. And it's illegal. You can't do it like that. That's why you sign those papers. It tells you how you can use it in public, in any state. It tells you. And that's what you're supposed to follow. It doesn't mean, hey, I get to go buy weed and just smoke it wherever. That's not the way it goes. If you're claiming it's medical purposes only, there's a federal law to it too. Or they just be like letting you buy that crap out of a gumball machine and fill it out yourself and carry it around in your pocketbook. And there's your permit. Um, but anyway, so, I had mentioned that to her, and I said, look, I did 15 cars in a row that sat for over an hour in the line while the other line was moving. I said, because the kid on the front end doesn't want to work, you know, and they kept harassing me. And that's about as far as I went. I didn't want to go through a lot of detail because apparently this woman had already left work, and I didn't want to waste her time because really she's off the clock. And it's very kind of her to inquire when I told her I would just come in the next morning and meet with her. And let her know. I'll come in before the next shift because I was scheduled for the next shift the next day, and because they made me sign for 2 days, and I was happy as heck because it's work. It's not a great job, but it's money. I've got a lot of things to make right now, and I need a tire and stuff, and it's just money. So my internet stuff's a little slow, so I got to do some side gig. And it's not DoorDash where I'm burning a ton of gas right this minute. I don't have to drive all over. If I get these little side gigs. So and you pick your pay, you pick your city that you want to work in, you pick the job. And it's usually one day at a time unless they have a requirement they want you to work 3 days or a week. When you sign up for it, you own it. So you have to make sure it's what you want. But anyway, so she was really nice, and she kept asking me over and again, you don't know her name or nothing? I said, God, I can't tell you. I said, I don't know because I don't, I get real friendly with people. I just do my job. And I said, all I can tell you is, she had a baseball cap on. She had like black and gray skin tight pants on and buck teeth glasses. And she had this giant bag, big colorful grocery bag thing that's huge, that she would carry in and out of every time she'd leave to take off. And so she goes, okay. She says, I really appreciate you telling me. I did tell her she took numerous breaks. I mean, at least 8 that I could think of. I couldn't totally pay attention because I'm so busy working. But, I witnessed like 8 of them. Now we're talking, you know, 15 minutes, take a 30-minute break. 15 minutes, take a 30-minute break. That's a lot of breaks. And they're paying that payroll for that. For somebody who's not working. That's so sad. So, you start the shift about 15 people. About mid shift, you've got 7. And then, last couple hours, there's like 3 or 4 people left because everybody left. And it's not like it was their scheduled hours because the way they schedule you out there is whatever your start time is, and it says question mark. And the question mark means whenever they close. And Avis closes at 10. Okay. They don't want us to open later. I said, man, with these hot days, I said it'd be awesome if you guys are open 24 hours and just keep running it so these cars get done. And they're like, well, I don't know about that. And I say, they're only open at like 6 in the morning. And I'm like, man, I'd be open at 4, you know, because that way a lot of people could work in the cooler, especially the regular payroll employees. That would be a wonderful opportunity for them. And they don't have to work in the heat. And yes, you get heat stroke. You get heat stroke over and over and over again. And you constantly got to drink water. You very rarely pee because the water is just being absorbed by your body, oddly enough. You drink truckloads of water. I mean, I was literally like pouring it down my body. I would take my bottle of water and pour it down my arms, and then the next time I would pour it down my face. You know, I didn't care. I mean, you get your whole front shirt wet, and it's dry in 15 minutes. It was so hot out there. You have very little wind out there, but it's more than most places. But anyway, so then the next morning, I'm getting ready to go out there, and the girl from People Ready calls me, and she says, they don't want you out on the property, and so you're not working today. And I'm like, what? And they're like, what happened? And I told her, basically what was going on. She went, what? I said, yeah. I said, and so I'm not really sweating anything over it. I said, because I was really regretting having to go back today, but I had committed to the shift. Um, and it's just too much stress, too much drama. Too many people are not working. There's no supervision at all. And, there was some young guy that was up my butt all day long and had no business doing it. I mean, he would literally come up and yell at me at cars that I was working on, just totally interrupt me. And, I can't really say anything back to him because I don't want to get in trouble for being disrespectful. Even though everybody else was like, man, I'd have cussed him out, man. I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. So she was like, oh my gosh. And she says, well, I'll talk to Renee. I said, I already talked to Renee. I have her phone number. I said, I talked with her, when I got off work. We got off real early, super, super early, like hours early. And I thought she was still on the property and I was going to go meet with her, at the desk. Um, and she had already left the property and asked me what was going on. And I had like a 15-minute conversation with her. She was very nice and thanked me like 4 times. And that's all I know. Uh, but I said, now this morning, my biggest thing is that I shouldn't have to be forced to be around chemicals like that at my employment, being exposed to chemicals. Two, you know, uh, uh, they need supervision. Things like this should not be going on. People should not be screaming at you. And the creepy thing with the kid with the bottle, God, I keep thinking about that guy. He might have put something in that water, you know, um, and that would be really scary. Why was he even messing with my water like he knew it was mine? It's really strange. And so, anyway, that's my honest review of working for Avis at Valparaiso, Florida, on the Eglin Air Force Base. And uh, for a lady that's named Renee that I've never seen her face. How would I solve the problem? Well, I would have supervision there. There's got to be supervision there. And all they've got to do is take and put a thing on the door, the service door right there where we're at, a little sign that says supervisor on shift is. Because even all the other people that work there, they will come up to me and go, "Who's the boss?" I'm like, "Who knows?" I said, "Everybody here thinks they are the boss." I said, "It's just really strange here over." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty strange." Um, and I said, I mean, I have Renee's number and everything, but um, I don't know. They just know there's never a boss here. If there is, it's like 5 minutes, 2 times a day. That's it. It's really strange. It's supposed to like run itself, but they all want to kill each other. And it's just really strange. People take off when they feel like it. They keep taking lunches. You don't have to clock out or anything. You just sign in on a piece of paper. So that's the biggest thing of all. Um, and then they say it's common that people just take off and don't come back. So I was forewarned of everything. So I expected it to be about as Mickey Mouse as they said it was, and it was actually worse. Um, it was actually worse. But I just stuck to my job. I was busy, 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 busy. Worked my butt off. Very hard job. Really, really hard on you. 99-degree weather. And uh, you're just really working with a whole bunch of bozos. And it's a shame because there's so much payroll wasted when you put 15 employees on one shift and you only have really 3 or 4 that are actually working. People taking off, standing around, talking, yip yapping, wandering around, and there's all that work there. Those cars rent for $100 a day. They're making bank, but they can't sit around and pay 15 employees to detail them. And it's a simple detail. They don't. Those cars are not clean. They are really nasty. I mean, when I have rented so many rental cars in the past 5 years, and most of them for a month at a time, brand new Cadillacs and stuff. And let me tell you what, when I go to pick up that car, they go with a clipboard around that car, and you have to check it with them. Okay, and I've done YouTube vlogs of it too. You have to check it with them because they're going to bill you for it if you don't make sure they have everything on that notation of that clipboard. You have to look at the fuel, everything, because they'll screw you on it. And uh, I had picked up one in NOLA one time. They tried to steal my Cadillac, and it ended up having to go in the shop because they locked it up. Cadillac has this thing on where they'll shut themselves down when people try to steal them, and it has to go to the dealer to be redone by computer. It's really a mess. And so, Allstate had authorized a rental car. I get $100 a day rental cars, up to $100 a day rent a car. So, and usually the average that they bill on Allstate is 40 to 60. So I pick anything on the lot. If it's a brand new vet, whatever it is that they've got, I can have it. And I get up to 30 days free. And so I went down to the rent a car place down in NOLA, and it was kind of near closing, and they just didn't have crap. They had one car with a windshield blown out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And they had, like 8 cars in the back that weren't clean. And then they had like 2 up front that I would never drive. They were like really cheap little tiny cars. And my run stock bags, I usually carry 6, 7, or 8 big giant luggage bags that are rolling. So I have to have something that will hold that. And it needs to be a Cadillac or a van or a nice SUV to accommodate me. Um, because I'm working at clubs and I got to roll all these bags in, roll them all out. And I've got to have room in them. You don't want to trash these rental cars, throwing all that crap in the back seat or something, and have a wheel cut a seat or something because they're going to bill you for it. Um, uh, so anyway, they gave me an SUV out of the back because I said, well, what about that SUV? And they said, well, it's not ready. I said, well, I got to have an SUV. So either you send me to another dealer or something because I can't use any of these cars. And I mean, you don't have a car washer here? Well, yeah. I said, well, I would like to have that SUV, or you're gonna have to send me to another dealer. I called Allstate. I'm like, they don't even have the car ready, and I called them in advance to tell them what I wanted. They had 2.5 hours to have a car ready for me. Okay, so anyway, you know, they had said okay, and so they washed it up supposedly. My daughter and I are waiting there, and it's like 30 minutes. They rolled this car out. They didn't really even wipe it off, and it's boiling hot down there in NOLA, you know. And I think it was like I wonder if it was the black SUV. One time I rented a white one down there. But anyway, they rolled it out, and I'm opening all the doors, and the first thing I do is look at the gas, and I ask them, "What do you got on the board?" And they tell me, "Oh, it has three-quarter tank." I said, "No, it doesn't. This car's about empty." And see, they have gas on these properties. They're supposed to be filling this stuff, right? And so anyway, I said, "You better note on your board that this car is like empty, or you'll fill it up before I take it." And she's like, "Well, I don't know." And so then I open the back door on the driver's side, and it looks like there's freaking, glazed donut in the floor, and the goo, and some gum, which to me sounds like somebody had their baby back there and was given a bunch of garbage, and they threw it in the floor and it baked into the car. That's what it tells me. Um, uh, you know, and I was not happy. I'm like, you need to clean that. I am not taking this car like that. You need to clean that. Because, see, they'll bill me automatic like $250. If I bring a car back dirty, $250. You smoking it, $200. Boom. Comes right off your credit card. And if you don't put gas in it, they charge you like $4.50 a gallon back then, when gas was like $1.60. Okay. So, um, yeah, they're really strict. If there's any dents on it that are larger than the size of a quarter, they bill you for it. Okay. It comes off your credit card. So, they're going to give it to me the way they're supposed to. I've rented way too many cars to know better. Um, and so anyway, we got that straight and everything. But I've had them where I got one in Alabama one time, and called them in advance, told them what I needed, and they're like, okay, we can look. I said, look, I got luxury car, $100 a day through Allstate, and that means like the $100 a day discount. That means I can have a car that's actually over $100 normal cost, but I get my discount through Allstate Insurance, and they pay up to 100. So that's why I can have a Maserati, I can have a Lambo, I can have a bed, I can have whatever I want if they have it on their lot. And it only cost me $100 a day. So anyway, uh, we had gone down and got a Cadillac, a brand new Caddy over there. And let's see, what was wrong with that one? Oh, uh, I take it and like I go to use the windshield wiper, and there's like no windshield wiper fluid, and now I've just trashed up the windshield. Have you ever run that windshield wiper and there's no water coming out, and it's like you just totaled up the windshield, so now you really can't see, and it's like you need to take the car to the car wash, so now you got to spend more money, um, because you don't have time or water hose to detail it with, so now you got to go pay $7, run it through the car wash, and spray it down yourself because you don't want to damage it, take it through an auto car wash, and pay $10. Oh yeah, and I was pissed. So then I opened the bonnet and go to check the fluids, and like everything's empty. And so I called him the next morning. I said, "Hey, all the fluids on this car are empty. It has like no oil in it. It's got like virtually no antifreeze in it, and like hardly any brake fluid in it." I'm like, "Why is this car not being serviced?" "Well, oh, you could bring it down. You can bring it down, and we'll fill it up or give you a different car." I'm like, "No, it should have been done before I took the car. That car's supposed to be clean inside and out, and all the fluids checked. That's why you rent the car. I shouldn't have to do a thing to it. I shouldn't have to put air in the tires. I shouldn't have to put a quart of oil in it. I shouldn't have to be doing paper on a rental car. It's $100 a day." So anyway, I went down there and let them fill that stuff up, and I checked it behind them, and they were like, looking at me. And so from then on, anytime I rent a car, I just go buy my own fluids. I look up what the specs are on the book that's in the glove box, and I go top it off myself because I'm tired of jerking with the dummies. Um, and I even had one tell me uh, that if I didn't sign and pay for the extra insurance, then if I got a flat on their 17-inch rims, whatever it was, that I had to pay for the tire or the tow truck service. And I'm like, bull crap, you'll come get your car because it's a rental car. Oh, but you have to buy the insurance. And I got a big old thing with them because they used to always sell me that extra insurance for $10 or $20 a day. And I talked to my insurance company, which was a really big insurance company, Allstate, had them for years. And I said, what's the deal with that damn rent a car place? It's supposed to be free to me under my contract. Okay, from Allstate. And so why am I paying insurance for me? And then I got to pay another insurance that they require at the rental car company. I mean, why? And then they're telling me if I have a flat tire that I have to buy a new tire, or pay for wrecker service. That's just bullcrap. They should service their own car. And so they're like, oh no, you don't have to pay that extra insurance. I said, well, I wish you'd call them and tell them. Because they told me I could not rent the car without paying, that extra car insurance of $10 or $20 a day. And when you rent a car for 30 days, that's a lot of money, you know. Because most of the time I get them for like 30 days. And don't think when your Cadillac goes in the dealership that they're going to have it done in 2 days, because they're not. They take a long time. And so that's why I have my rental car service. And Allstate gives me up to 30 days per incident. Okay? So, and you can take that car unlimited mileage all over the United States. As long as you got the paperwork with you, you take it wherever you want. And so, anyway, Allstate told me, no, you absolutely do not have to have insurance. And so, I went. The next time I had to go rent a car from those bozos from Bama, they gave me a bunch of crap about, okay, now you have to sign here for the insurance because, you have to have that. I said, no, I do not. Well, yes, you do. We can't give you the car. I'm like, and plus their $275 deposit. I'm not required to pay deposits. They used to pull that crap on me too. My insurance company pays that deposit, not me. And I went round and round with that crap too, till I got them all straightened out. So every time I go in there, I'm like, no, there's no deposit, and no, I'm not paying you car insurance. And uh, they were like real argumentative. I said, yeah, we'll call Allstate, and they'll explain it to you, because you guys are charging me for stuff that I don't need, and that's an option. You can't force me to take it. That is an option. So it's better you call Allstate because they're the one that are paying your paycheck. You don't want the business, I can go somewhere else. Not a problem. Because that's good money when I rent a car from you. That's, normally, $160 to $200 a day rent a car. That's going to go, 2 weeks to 4 weeks. That's a lot of money. We're not talking a 1 day rental here. Other than the fact I detail the cars before they ever go back. I always do. Always, because I'm not going to get charged. So the cars are immaculate when I return them. I mean, I take them to the car wash. I clean them inside and out. I buy like $40 worth of cleaning chemicals, and I detail the whole car before I take it back to them. I spend 2 or 3 hours before I take it back, and that car's ready to rent. It's absolutely immaculate. Because I'm not gonna get billed for it. And it'd be better than what they rented it to me as. That's for sure. But yeah, so basically my review is they slapped those cars through there, and they're not cleaned good at all. Um, I would be fried if I had a car that looked that bad. They're just not cleaned. Um, and this thing about not doing any windows. Can you imagine renting a car and the windows are nasty poo poo? I would be so mad. But again, I don't know what they look like when they come out on the other side. Um, But you know, and there's a bunch of people working that take off and do what they feel like it whenever they feel like it, and don't come back, and only work like 15 minutes at a time. Drugs being smoked on the property, and you're forced to deal with it in the bathroom and the supply room. That's not cool. It's military property. They really need supervision very badly. There's no excuse to not have supervision. So you got a bunch of idiots giving everybody orders and they've only been on the job one day. That's just stupid. You're asking for problems. You're asking for people to start fighting each other and going cuckoo. And then people are stealing gas, stealing supplies. It's really strange. And you get lots of free stuff when you're working those cars. There, you find money in the cars. You find all kinds of stuff in the cars, and they tell you, unless it's an important item like some of their paperwork, driver's license, a valuable item, or something like that, then you're supposed to turn it in. And but everything else is a freebie. If they've left money in the car, change in the car, drop their e-cig. I found an e-cig in one. Um, if they left, 6 pack of beer in there, a bottle of wine. You see a lot. You see a lot of these like 48 packs of water, where they only had 2 bottles used out of them, and those are constant, and you get to have those too. Most of the time, I was taking them and loading them up in the cooler, because nobody really wanted them, and I would just take it in the storeroom and start loading it in the cooler and let it cool down. I mean, it was like free water for all the employees. But yeah, these people don't clean the cars at all. You find baby diapers in there, their food plates, their trash, bags of beer cans. It is the strangest thing. I can't imagine these people returning these cars like that, because they would automatically dock me $200. Now, they do have a sticker they're supposed to put on the car that's special service cleaning because they left it dirty. But there's miles of trash from beverages that they didn't finish drinking. They were stuffed indoors. Um, Cigarettes, money, all kinds of stuff. Um, Construction supplies. I made out like bacon one day. I got caulking, some brand new screws, and all kinds of stuff that was underneath the cover for the spare tire. You know, a lot of the employees wouldn't search the car, and I said, you know what? If I ever rent a car and there's dope or something, I'll be mad. I said, so I always check the glove box. That if there's an overhead eyeglass carrier, the console between the seats if it has one, any doors that open, and then check the trunk, and then lift the cover up for the spare because people store stuff under there, and that's what I do. And you would be amazed at the stuff I was finding, and people were shocked. They're like, "Why do you open all that?" I'm like, "Because I would be mad if there was some stuff in a car and I rented it, and then I get charged for dope or something, or there's a half bottle of liquor, which you see that a lot. There's a half bottle of some liquor or beer can, or there's a bottle of liquor in the trunk underneath by the tire. You see a lot of stuff like that in those rental cars, and it's got to come out, you know. So my review, really rough job. I honestly, I don't think it's fair for anybody to have to work there, because it's very abusive, and they just really need supervision. They waste huge amounts of money on payroll for people that aren't working. It can be very easily run. That particular location can be very easily run with 2 on the front end for the vacuum, which is for 2 sides. So you would have 2 and 2, and then 2 people on the back ends, of, of the 2 rows. Um, that one does driver's side, one does passenger side, kind of like the first day I worked, where it was really organized and we get miles of cars went through there. And then on the other row, the same thing, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side, and then one car mover. That's really all you need. Um, they walk over to one lot, they move a car over here, and put it in a row. They go over and get another one. Like that kid came back one point and was screaming at me to get out of a car I was detailing. I was right in the middle of detailing this car, just banging away, and the kid comes up and says, "Get out of the car." I said, "Excuse me?" And it's like, "You need to get out of the car right now." I'm like, and why? I'm busy cleaning. And he said, because she has to move the cars. Or she has to bring a car in or something, and all these cars need to be moved. I said, well, I'm going to be done with this car in about 45 seconds, and I'll move it up to the vacuums, which was 10 feet. And uh, he's like, no, you need to get out of the car now. I'm like, fine. So he's going to interrupt my work, and I'm going to get out of this car. And now he's still screaming at me, going, she has to move these cars to get these other cars in. I said, well, that's not my job. I don't know. I said, I'm just detailer today. I'm not a driver. I said, but that's their job. They move the cars. You know, um, that's all I can tell you. I'm doing my job. Um, and and he was like, what's your problem? I said, well, I don't know why these cars aren't moving. You know, I thought it was just ridiculous that one day with 15 cars sitting in a row for an hour and don't move, and the other lane is running because people are working. They're working. You know, but yeah. So yeah, but they have lots of jobs on that thing. So that was interesting. I was intrigued. Thought I could do something that I know how to do very well, much better than they do out there. Um, and that if I just worked it, boom, boom, just kept going away, then I wouldn't have to worry about all this other drama and crap that I was already pre-warned about. Um, but again, there's no supervision. There should be supervision there to control that. People shouldn't be just coming up to you, giving you orders all day long, screaming at you and being a jerk, and you have to listen to crazy like ranting like from a drug head, full blast, cussing and screaming at the front of the vacuums endlessly about whatever it is their problem is. They should just shut up. We don't need all that negativity work. We got a job, we got to do it. I don't want to hear all that negative drama. So it's not very peaceful. I never took a break the two shifts that I worked. I didn't take my so-called lunch break that's paid. I just worked it. The only time I even stopped for a minute to drink water was like, when we, had all cars done, or I had like a whole bunch of cars finished, and so I could do it without affecting anybody in a negative way, because my stuff was done. Um, and I would even help the other people. I'd say, "Excuse me, do you mind if I help you? What would you like me to do on your car?" You know. And so I was very helpful because it's like if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. And every minute they pay you for, it's not just paid by the hour; it's paid by the minute. They own you, so keep busy. And maybe if somebody's looking, you might get a raise or a compliment. Maybe you won't get anything at all, but at least you did a good job and you were worth your pay. That's just the way I am. I've been an owner and a manager many years, and um, so I know what it feels like, and I know what it's like when you have to tell an employee it's not working, or you're just not doing the job. That's why. Can you help? Um, it's hard. It's hard. But people like to take advantage of you, I guess, in this day and age. I think they just come to work and not work. Um, but very wasted money. And for somebody who's worked there 40 years, why on earth are you not handling that property? It doesn't run itself, you know. Um, and again, you don't have to have a whole bunch of background check to work for Avis. You do for the other companies, and I've already cleared that because I was really helping to work for this other company a friend of mine works for. Because they said we don't have all that bullcrap drama like they have over there, where they all want to kill each other. Everybody's a boss, and they have no boss. And it's like, wow. So I was hoping to get on with that one, and I missed it, the other day because they had offered me that job on the app, but um, no, they didn't offer it to me. They offered it on a friend of mine's app who's already certified with them, and I was really hurt. I called the officer. I'm like, how come it's not coming up on my app? But you have to have a special clearance for it. They have to do all kinds of, security stuff on you. So I'm like, go ahead and run it. What do I do to get that? And they're like, well, it takes 2 or 3 days. I said, go ahead and run it. Can you do that? And they're like, sure. You just have to request it. I'm like, well, I'm good. And just as soon as I run it, it took like the third morning, and I opened that thing up, and here was that job. Yeah, but the only problem was I had already committed to Avis, so that was really sad. I didn't want to cancel it because I already said yes. I'm one of those I don't like to go back on my word. And which I really should have canceled it and gone to work for that other company because they have stricter requirements. So the probability of a bunch of trash working there is probably very little. And at that company, they detail the cars one by one. They don't put a whole bunch of people on one car. It's just one by one, and usually one or two people are working. That's it, and that's how they do it. And so maybe it's better, maybe it's not. I don't know. But they have all kinds of jobs you can work. It doesn't make a difference. So I talked to a girl last night, and she was telling me about a job she's working that I could come work for her. And she's working two jobs at once. And it's on a construction site. And she's like, hey, and it's in the air conditioning. She said, forget that car thing over there. Come work with me. I'm like, really? So I might get to do that. I had an opportunity to do that this morning, but I didn't. I was not feeling good at all. I was so tired. I only had 3 or 4 hours sleep. That's the other problem. When you're boondocking, sometimes you just don't get a lot of sleep because creepy stuff's going on around you. Um, and so I knew I would never make it. There would be no possibility. I didn't want to go into a job and not be, like 100% full bore, and disappoint somebody going, I gotta leave now, like 3 hours after I was there. I'm one of those that it's like, I'm trying to think of any time I've ever left that stage. That's what they say. You don't walk out in the middle of a show. Um, and I'm trying to think of any job I've ever walked out, or left mid shift or something like that, in my life, because you just work it, at least till the end of your shift. You don't want to walk out in the middle. It's not nice. Um, and that's just the way I am. Unfortunately, I'm just I'm not one of those kind of folks. So that's my honest review of Avis at Valparaiso on Eglin Air Force Base. And it's unfortunate but true. It's a shame. Um, it's really hard when you see companies that do things the wrong way, absolute wrong way, and they're losing humongous amounts of money. It's like, why on earth are these people in management? And the owner, if the owner knew, they'd just be choking on the money they're losing. They're employing 15 people that three-quarters of them aren't even working. I couldn't do like that. I couldn't. That's like stealing from a company. I could not do that. Just jerk around and not do my job. So anyway, let's look at the comments. We have got. So this is a good gig to do. Is an Avis exclusive. I don't know what Avis exclusive is, but it's owned by the Avis, the Rent-A-Car Corporation. So he sounds like a piece of work. Oh, that kid, yeah. Yeah. I hate to say bad things about people, but he kind of reminds me of some of the people that live in storages, and then they're on really heavy trucks. I could be wrong. Um, he was just really strange. And why he kept coming after me, I don't know. I had to, like, my nose to the wheel. You know what I mean? I just did my job. I saw and heard a lot of things, and I just didn't say anything. I just did my job. But it was amazing, some stuff that went on around there. And I could have jumped right in there, even for entertainment purposes, and I had no interest. I didn't want to get into any of that stuff. Because, I don't like to waste my breath on stupid. Oh, I get so tired. I just do not say anything. Let it roll. Just forget it. It was like that ding dong bucktooth girl who was detailing cars, put 2 sprays of a chemical on the rag, and then be wiping down cars. And it's like she would complain, and then I'd say, well, I just like wet my whole rag, and then keep my spray with me. And she's like, well, I don't do it that way. It's like, okay, you know. I mean, I was trying to be helpful. But anyway, so let's say probably doing that so they don't expect much out of them. I don't know. Oh, that's a big no-no. That must be about the drug thing. They probably don't have enough staff to supervise. Not if they're paying 15 people to come out here and show up to work, and that they got to be able to afford some kind of supervisor. Otherwise, the supervisors are taking off and sitting around in the air-conditioned offices and not even doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's very much a probability. Because, some people take advantage of their jobs and then one day they come in and go, you're gone. And then they're like, why? That stuff all adds up. Somebody is watching. Some way, somehow. Can you imagine undercover boss out there? That's what they really need. They really need undercover boss one time out there to work down on those cars and see the bull crap going on and have people talk to them like trash for no reason. I mean, I didn't even know. There's like two people I knew their names over there. Two people. Yeah, because I just did not mess with anybody. I just came there to work, you know, and was friendly, nice to people. Um, let's say they probably don't have enough staff to supervise. Hey, Red from Wayne. Yeah, all right. Good to see ya. It sounds like they're trying to stretch out the work and not necessarily the lazy. That's what I'm reading from what you're telling me, or maybe they're just plain mean to people. Maybe. Today was in the hundreds. Apparently, we broke record. Yeah, today was 100. The last 3 or 4 days, well, the week, pretty much the whole week's been 199 to 100 and over. But this isn't even our hottest months. July and August is the worst. Last time it was that hot in 86 or 89. I'm thinking paranormal gaming is like up in Ohio. I can't remember. Um, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that at work. Yeah, it's federal. It's federal. Why on earth is somebody that brain dead to be smoking weed? And two of the other employees said I would be working with them, and they're like, "Oh, she's out to smoke another joint again," and it was so funny. It was like they knew too, and they're like, "I don't know how anybody can smoke that much weed," you know. God, it was so funny. So I wasn't the only one seeing it. Again, I don't care what you do. You just don't do it around my kids, and please don't do it around me, unless it's scent free, And I don't want it in my car. I don't want it anything to do with any of that. Yes, I hate the smell. Oh yeah, I'm allergic to it. The smell's gross. I was at Platinum one time and a dancer turned to me and said, "Hey, can I use your cologne for a second?" And I use Chanel, which is like 160 a bottle, right? And I'm like, "Why?" Well, I just want to spray here. I just, smoked a joint here. I'm like in the locker room. And she's like, yeah, so you're not using my Chanel to spray the air for air freshener, man. I'll say, forget it. Um, I don't mind the smell, but you shouldn't be doing it at work. I hate the way marijuana smells and hurts my eyes. You know what marijuana smells like? Like poo poo on fire. Take poop of any kind, human, animal, whatever. Put it in a little paper bag, set it on the ground, set it on fire, and see how it smells. It smells like that. It's gross. At least to me it is. Maybe some people like that smell. Yeah, I know a YouTuber who got their window bashed out in San Francisco, California. And I wonder why that was. Um, oh really? Paranormal gaming. Yep, yep, yep. Well, your insurance should pay for it. That's right. That's absolutely right. You'd be surprised the scams that the car rental places try to pull on you, and you'll fall for that crap. And but if you call your insurance company, because you The whole idea of doing the car insurance to fix your damages on your car when somebody's hit your car or whatever, and then they offer you to rent a car because you pay for that service too. And so why should you have to pay for anything else beyond that? That's why I have insurance, right? There's no reason I should be having to, you know, pay for fluids in a rental car, pay for car insurance on a rental car, but I already pay car insurance. If I get in your car and drive it, and your car has no insurance, my insurance covers me. You know what I mean? But if I get in your car and I don't have a driver's license, your insurance does not cover me. If I get in your car and I total it down the street, you're liable. Okay, whether I have insurance or not, you're liable. And some credit cards offer secondary car insurance on rentals. Oh, really? Now I didn't know that. I've heard that way back, some kind of thing like that. But I wasn't quite sure if that was true, and I didn't know much about it. So that's very interesting. The only thing is, I'm not a credit card person. All my cards have cash on them. I don't do credit. I don't do loans. I don't owe crap. The only thing I do in payments is like sometimes my car insurance. I usually pay it in full, or sometimes I just pay it. Most of the time, I pay it in full, and that's it. But rarely do I do it in payments. And if I do it in payments, I always overpay because I want it paid off and out of my way, so I don't have to worry about it. And all my cars I own outright for years and years and years. I've paid cash for my cars. I got tired of doing payments, you know. I got tired of brand new cars breaking, and then their stuff is not covering it because I'm 50 miles away from the dealer. That's another stupid thing. I bought a Cadillac like that once, and they were like, I had a real critical problem. I only had the car 3 weeks, severely critical problem, and it was covered by my full train warranty, whatever it is. And I called them, and I was in 2 states away, and they said, "Oh, it's only good for 50 miles from the car dealership in Memphis." And I'm like, "Excuse me, excuse me." Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, well, I hope you guys had a great day today. I hope you watch that heat. Don't try to stay on that heat too much. If you can, you know. I thank you guys for thumbs up. Yeah, I got 2 thumbs up. Yeah, yeah. Appreciate you. And but be very careful in this heat. It's very risky for me, especially when docking at 105 is brain damage and 106 is death. I don't know how I'm gonna make it this year because July and August are the hottest months. If I had the money, I could take the option to go somewhere north where it's a little cooler to save my life. But I really don't have the money for the fuel. That's the bad part. The fuel did go down 10 cents in the last 24 hours here. But I mean, it was doing that before a few weeks back and went right back up. So I don't know exactly what's going on with that fuel thing. It did go down, like 10 cents, about 10 cents in the last 24 hours. This is really kind of interesting. I hope it starts continuing to drop because this is retarded. They're just forcing us into a depression, and it just affects way too many people. We're just coming through this pandemic crap. And there's lots of work, but a lot of people don't want to go work in public. They still rather be remote. Um, you know, no matter what I'm doing, I'm working 100%, whether it be in person or not. I'm taking these side gigs to let you guys know what it's like because, like the guy that did dirty jobs on TV forever, I guess I'm just going to try a whole bunch of different jobs out and tell you what it's like. Um, the app does vary. I talked to my buddy this morning that's been on there for many, many years. And he said, as I said, do they ever have like more than 2 or 3 jobs that they send you? Um, and he's like, oh, yeah. He said, sometimes there's miles of them. So, and I did talk to the office to find out how you get that stuff, if they send it to you from the office or what. And it's actually computer generated to everybody's phone. But they do enter the jobs in from their office when they open in the morning. And then it's just cycled out by a computer that ships them to everybody's phone. Whether it's compatible to what you applied for or not, in distance or the type of job, sometimes they just send it. They bounce it because, They're trying to get anybody to come. Um, which can be a nice gig. I mean, if you like traveling and you go, wow, here's a job for, $26 an hour, and it's an hour away, and I'll just hang out over there. Or you have friends that live there and you stay with them and go do that job. Um, they have jobs by the day. They have some jobs where they say, okay, if you commit, you got to work 2 days or 3 days if you commit to this job, because they're looking for somebody that's going to fill all those days. Um, and then there's different qualifications of jobs. If you request their background checks or security checks or anything like that, it upgrades your job. And so there's some companies that just aren't taking anybody. They're taking people that have been cleared by, tests or security checks or whatever, and they won't take anything less than that. So everybody has a bad background and all that other trash. They're on the bottom end, and anybody's above that requests all those other things to be done for the background checks and that, so they can be in the higher quality jobs that don't allow those people there. So that'll be interesting. But anyway, my friend told me about that job last night and really wanted me to come work with her. So I saw it on there today actually, and I just couldn't commit to it today. I felt like I would disappoint them, and I don't want them to waste having me there if I can't perform the entire job for the entire day. Um, so, um, yeah. I was having really bad dizzy spells in the middle of the night last night and today, seriously bad. And, get down on the ground bed, really and truly. So, I was real concerned about that. Other than I'd only had 3 or 4 hours sleep, so it may have just been because I was just so overexhausted because I don't get 8 hours of sleep boondocking ever, and it's really bad for your health. So maybe I've just had too many nights in a row of 3 or 4 or 5 hours sleep, and it's just not enough. I've just made just totally exhausted myself, along with the heat strokes and everything from work. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great one. I've really enjoyed it, and I love you so much. And uh, I'll see you on the next one. So there's my honest review of Avis, Valparaiso, Eglin Air Force Base, and that's all I could say. I wish them the best. I've made some very nice friends out there. There were a few very very nice people that worked there regular, and I was very glad to know them, and it made a very nice day. Um, they they were really sweet, happy people, and we worked very well together. That just made it so nice. Um, you know. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great one. I'll check you on the next one. I love you. Have a wonderful, blessed evening and a profitable day tomorrow. See you next one.